So we're going to be covering a super hot topic. I feel like Casey and I are blue in the face from covering this topic, but it just seems more and more relevant every single day. And people keep joining us and reaching out and wanting to learn more about how to most effectively use text messaging from a case management standpoint, right? So we're going to be covering kind of what Engage by Sell's tools are to enable case managers, whether it be for workforce development. Obviously, a lot of you on this call are in workforce or in that kind of labor market, helping people get employed, or if they're underemployed or underskilled, getting them the training they need, et cetera, and all those kinds of things. But I think case management is obviously very broad. There's lots of different folks that are just trying to help people get through a process, whether that be for employment or healthcare, training, et cetera, all the different things. And we need to start to incorporate text messaging into our outreach and our communication abilities. And we'll be kind of covering what Engage by Cell does to help with that and kind of the whys and the hows and how it all works. But again, thank you for joining us. We'll start with a little introduction of Engage by Cell. So we're a 100% domestically based company. We've been in business for 20 years now. Casey, how long have you been with Engage by Cell? It's been a minute.
A little over 8 years.
8 years. Wow.
Eight
That's
for eight
crazy.
years. Yeah, I've seen a
Yeah,
lot of changes.
a
Texting has
lot of
changed a
changes.
lot in 8 years.
And one thing we always like to show is a couple of our clients, we're obviously very involved in the workforce development industry, but one thing I always like to shout from the rooftops, and this is definitely under Casey's department, but we are humongous on real human customer support. We don't even have a 1-800 phone number as a company. If you need assistance, you call us. You have many points of contact you can reach out to with assistance. I'm sure some of you on the call are current clients, and you can probably attest that you can text me, call me, reach out to Casey and his team, Fred, whoever it might be. But we're huge on that. All right. Casey, you want to touch on some of the kind of challenges and opportunities here a little bit?
Yeah, so we're gonna dive into the details now, give you a little bit of an overview, and then we'll make this a little bit interactive. So if you don't have your cell phones handy, get them ready. In a few minutes, we'll have you kind of opt in and kind of show you the kind of system in real time. But leads me into my first point of real time messaging. So connecting with your caseload, number one priority, and to have that happen in real time, fastest method is text messaging. It is always in people's hand. You're never really too far away from your phone. So getting a message fastest way is through a text chat or a text message platform that we offer. And the best part of that is messages get read. It's a very high open rate. Emails are about 20-30% if you're doing a really, really good job. Text messages are 90+% in the first few minutes that message is there. So you know that message is read, you know that it's delivered. Acting upon it, that is always has its own things. That's part of the messaging that you provide and how often you provide it and what sort of resources you give. But if you want a message to get to somebody, text messaging is your first method that should be used.
And Casey, I always want to pick on myself with this, and I always show this, and I'm sure if there are current clients on the call, they've seen me do this before, but I think it always hits home. As Casey kind of mentioned, with the 90 plus engagement rate with texting, right? People always hear that number and they're like, no way is it actually like that, right? But I always like to pick on myself, and I encourage everybody on the call to put in the chat if anybody beats me, and I see it all the time, but how many unread text messages do I have versus how many unread emails in my personal Gmail account, right? I've got 44,594 emails, probably from Old Navy and from a life insurance request that I put out 10 years ago, and they have never
Yep.
stopped. So,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's not unique to you, Max. We all have zero intention of reading most of those emails. And the thing with text messages is they will get read and you'll have the data that they were delivered and all that good stuff.
hmm
Um,
And go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So, staffing and operational efficiency, this is really just around how much time you guys all spend doing your jobs. If you have to sit there and call 15 people, 30 people to let them know about an event, you're probably connecting with one or two of them if you're lucky. Otherwise, you're spending an hour leaving voicemails. Our system kind of does all that for you. You schedule out your message, the message gets across, and in the same avenue of reading emails is listening to your voicemails is another thing that does not get done quite as often and definitely not efficiently. You may spend a couple days going back and listening to some voicemails, but you've already read the text message. So if you're trying to get something across, saving yourself some time, and that allows you to do it mass messaging through our system along with that personal one-on-one touch that we're going to kind of go through with you guys today.
and I think it's
And
important to really understand what the goal here is, right? It's to make everyone's life as easy and efficient as possible. And kind of as Casey touched on what this looks like, and Casey will share his screen here in a moment, but I know everybody on this call, including myself, nobody loves being a phone call warrior, right? And nobody likes to, if I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 plus people in my caseload, I don't want to spend every single day running through that list and calling them with maybe a 10% answer rate. And if they do answer, what am I doing, et cetera, leaving voicemails, email isn't working. So in our system, you can automate that workflow. So essentially, you can take your caseload and schedule it. So once a week, twice a week, once a month, whatever you want. It's going to reach out to everybody via text and it's going to be personalized still. So it could say, if I'm Casey's case manager, it'll say, "Hey, Casey, I hope you're doing super well. It's Max over at the job center. Please don't forget, you can always text me back if you need assistance," right? So, and that's all happening automatically. And then Casey's going to show you the really cool way how that kind of will transition from that mass communication into a one-on-one conversation. And in the meantime, you get to spend your day actually doing what you enjoy doing, right? Sitting down with people and helping them and assisting them through the problems that they're facing. And you don't get bogged down with, the multiple hours a week of trying to do some of this outreach that isn't super effective anyway, right? So that leads us into kind of how it's changed. And I always think it's super important. We're not hearing it as much as we used to, Casey, but I still definitely hear it on, going back. I've been in, my career for 10 years now. And just in those 10 years, when I first started my career, I was, predominantly coach, never text anybody. It's super unprofessional. That's you text your friends, not your, work colleagues or not people that you're trying to assist, et cetera, whatever. And anymore, it's the preferred way of communication, right? So we've really came over that hump of, it's not professional, et cetera, whatever. And now most of my customers that I'm working with say, "Hey, if you need to get a hold of me, text me. If you email me, never going to see it. You call me, I'm in meetings all day," right? So text me and I will respond to you. And I know that's something that's kind of changed, I would say, in the past 5 to 10 years. Casey, you're a little bit older than me. I'm sure you've seen it change even more in your professional career. Yeah, not much, a little bit. But and the one thing I always like to touch on too, the QR codes have become pretty universally adopted now. And I always say it was kind of the one positive thing that came out of nasty old COVID was QR codes were everywhere. And my 83-year-old grandma uses QR codes. All right. So I don't want to hear any excuses because if we all wanted to sit down and look at a menu or go into an office building, we had to scan a QR code to do something. Right. And so that adoption of QR codes has really become not limited by any demographic. It's pretty universal at this point. Everybody understands how to use them, etc. And then I think it's always important to understand that these are incorporated in so much of our lives now. We do all of our banking on here, we do all of our communication, social media, everything and everything we do is on our cell phone. And what is accompanying that is people are accessing them 24/7, right? It's not just limited to when I get to it or I have to sit down at my computer and blah blah blah. We all have it all the time. And so it's important to start incorporating mobile devices any way you can. And texting is obviously a humongous effective first step. Anything you want to add, Case?
Yeah, no, you covered most of it, but yeah, once you get the message through, and now the device, what's different is the device now is a personal computer. Like Max said, you're doing all your other work on it, so you can send them a message, and they can immediately act on that message and sign up for your job fair, book an appointment with you, check resources, submit documentation. All of that can be done instantaneously. It's not the same way as, oh, I have to do this from my desktop when I get back to my computer in 8 hours. So a lot of it can be a lot more instantaneous, I guess you could say, along with just the message getting across, but you can get some results from that message even faster as well.
I love it. All right. Now for the fun part. Let's make this as interactive as possible for everybody here. So before I quit sharing my screen and Casey dives into the back end of the platform here, I want everybody to take out their phone and I'll do it with you. And if you scan that QR code, it will populate the text tacos to the phone number 56512. And if you hit send on that, and I like that tacos keyword, Casey, that must be on your demo account.
Yeah, it's almost lunchtime too, so anybody that's hungry, sorry.
And also, there is the manual call to action here. If you text the word tacos to 56512, you will get a text message back that says, thanks for opting in to text messaging updates. And this is going to be a little bit workforcey as an example, but everybody can understand. Are you in the process of looking for a job? Reply yes or no. And feel free to reply if you would like to. And I am going to stop sharing and let Casey take it away.
For today's demo, we're kind of going through the initiation process. If someone's reaching out to you, we've kind of talked about mass messaging. Just to cover that, you can absolutely build lists, push out messaging to large groups of people, small groups of people, from 10 people to 10,000 people at one time to invite them to events, reminders. Right now, we're really talking about the back and forth communication. So you could also think of this as I sent you a message, you replied back to it, and now we're kind of picking up right in that scenario right there. You guys can all see these little red bubbles. What's happening here is these are now inbound one-on-one messages. As an administrator on your staff, you can field these inbound messages from your desktop. If you're working there, it has notifications, pop-ups. We have Chrome extensions as well to help with the alerts and kind of the management of these messages so nothing goes unanswered or unread for too long. We also have a ton of different settings that you guys can have. Most of our workforce organizations will purchase multiple keywords or one keyword for every employee or caseworker so that you guys really have your own contacts narrowed in, your own lists, your own inbound messages, that they're directed at you. So you all get your own individual settings. So however you want to kind of configure this yourself. Days of the week that you don't want messages, alerts that come in certain hours of the day. And then you can receive alerts via your phone as well as email, even though we just mentioned that emails aren't read nearly to that point. But if you're an email person, we have both options. And we even have a mobile friendly version of this. So if you're out in the field or you're out at meetings, you can get notifications, reply back directly from our platform, but using the phone number that's set up on ours. So your phone, your device, not your personal cell phone. Your personal cell phone should remain your personal cell phone and only be shared with whoever you share with. So as you get these messages, you get the alerts, you're ready to respond. I can click into a message. If they're already in the system, have been working with you, and you have a name associated with them, they're going to show right here so you know who you're working with. If you are unsure, you can click on a message and have that conversation with them. I happen to know this is Max. Maybe I fielded this through the process of working with them, responding, I can click add Max into the system, add them to a list, save it. It's now in the process. But I am here to help. Where have you applied so far?
And live in real time. There it is. So that text just came through. And quickly back up here for a second, Casey. So we're all texting this 56512 phone number, right? And you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I know it gets a little bit confusing when we start using our terminology with keywords and stuff like that. And so
Absolutely.
just to be
Thanks. Yeah.
super clear, each one of the case managers can have their own little sub account, exactly what Casey's showing here, right? And rather than texting that 56512 phone number, oftentimes, like Casey mentioned, each one of the case managers will have their own little phone number that's attached to this so they can put it on their business cards and tell their clients, hey, this is my phone number. If you need to text me and get a hold of me, I'm going to be shooting you text, trying to keep you up to date with whatever program information I need. And also, Casey, can you tell us a little bit about, what happens if they already have like an existing office number they want to use or something like that?
Yeah. So we can port over business lines that you guys have and enable them for text messaging. So we work with your IT staff a little bit. They essentially just have to prove that you guys own the phone number. And then your current landline phone number that you receive calls at your desk can be initiated for text messaging within our platform. So then you cover both bases. If they call you, it's going to you. If they text you, it's going through us.
That's
So
super awesome.
that's a process we can go through. If you don't want to do that fully through IT for whatever reason, we also have the ability to add your phone number as a forwarding line. So if someone were to try and call the phone number that's associated to your account, it would actually call your personal cell phone or your desk line, whatever you guys put into that spot. So we're big on making sure all communication gets to you, whether that's through text messaging or through a call.
So I want you to show me because I love it. The little short link there. So let's role play for a minute that I'm one of the case managers and I'm at a job fair and I'm out and about and working my event and all that stuff. And let's pretend that I put in my little notifications that someone's in my queue and I receive my little text alert saying, "Hey, someone's in your queue. Click here to respond to them."
Yeah.
Can you show me that little short URL, what it looks like? So if I click that, what does it look like if I'm out at my job fair?
Break this down like a look like a
Yeah,
phone.
make it look like a phone. I love
And
it.
you're just
There it
on your
is. So
device here. So
if
you're
we're,
able to click on that text
yep.
and follow up on some responses. We were talking about how we're big on human support, but we know that the world is going to AI, so we're not too far behind. We have incorporated a ChatGPT integration that will pre-prompt a response to the most recent inbound message you have. You can edit that to whatever you want. But if you do want to search, it will do a little grab, give you the option if you like what that message says, insert it into the text, and then you can send it off.
Here we go. I got it. Perfect. I want everybody to text in, start texting a couple of things and let Casey jump around and reply to some of you, and I'll do it too here. But anybody on the call, I want to see some conversations come in and just pretend, right? Ask about something. Here we go. Casey, start responding to a couple people.
Assistance.
Texting. And do be cautious. We will share what you've texted in there.
We have a job fair this Friday. Are you interested?
Yeah. I love it.
So as you
So,
can see, we're moving through these pretty quickly. As the alerts come in, you're able to
mhm.
handle them. You can leave, come back. The alerts will update, and then you can respond back and forth. We have another one here. What time does it start? 8 a.m. Bring 5 copies of your resume.
Now,
and dress
Casey,
professionally.
there we go. What happens
Or
if
off.
my caseload is 50 people and my little active conversation there gets super full and I want to see, I want to keep it clean, like my
Yeah.
work email. How do I keep kind of everything organized so I know who I'm actively conversating with versus people that are kind of sidelined?
Yeah, so you can manually archive any conversation that you want. You can also have a setting of how quickly something goes into archive if the conversation is no longer active. If they text back in, it moves it to active. But if a conversation goes idle for X 2 hours or whatever that may be, you can move it out. Otherwise, you can just click this little folder, archive it. It lives in this area here, and you can bring anything back that you want, activate it, put this back in my text right at the top. Couple other cool things you can do from here. As I mentioned, you can add a contact name, you can delete them, you can add them to a stop list. If you read a text and are like, you know what, I'm not going to respond to that right now, you can mark it as unread, keep the alert on there, and pop that back into your inbox. You can update the subscriber. You can leave the conversation. And another cool feature is a report option that's a hot link to all conversations for this specific user. And it predates to the point in time that they first opted into the system. So, one thing you don't have easy access to if you are using your personal cell phone is an exportable report that you can give to your boss quickly of all the conversations that you've had with a specific user that you guys are trying to place jobs with, or if they need access to all of them, you could pull a report of all conversations you've had in the last 30 days and have it on their desk in 20 minutes. So the reporting part of this piece we haven't touched on yet is a big one that you're not going to get with kind of using your own device through our system.
Now, what happens, Casey? We've kind of gone through once all these text messages are kind of initiated, but let's say I'm new to Engage by Cell. I've got my list of 40 people in my caseload and I want to upload them onto a list and send out that first text to start initiating all these one-on-one conversations. Can I manage my list? Where do I upload that stuff? How do I push one out? All that kind of stuff.
You have unlimited lists within our system. We recommend you have lots of different lists in order to segment your users so you can really target them based on real working information rather than being overly generic to cover everybody. So you can break it down by attendees of a job fair, break it down by quarters that they've entered the program. Did they leave an orientation? Where are they within the program? So no limits on that. You can upload subscribers as well. So if you have a list of contacts you've been working with, or hey, let's take all of our attendees from that Amazon job fair we just had, let's upload them into the system, push out a message. You can do that here. And then in terms of scheduling out your message, that's all done from the send schedule text area. Join us for a job fair coming up this Friday. We hope you can make it. Bunch of different stuff. As Max mentioned, personalization. If you have names, you can create templates ahead of time. So messages that you guys send frequently, add them as a template. Quick access. You can tweak each message as you want. Another service we offer, which some of you may be familiar with, is a mobile web platform that allows you to upload resources, build pages, have documents and files accessible. You can insert in those links to those pages, emojis. Adding links is a huge, huge way that organizations use our platform. This allows you to kind of directly take them to those resources, a sign up page for an event, a link to a document that's on your guys' website, an area to see all job postings. So things that you guys kind of keep active on your end, you could add them in here. Our system will shorten the URL to leave the most characters for you. Also adds a tracking element. So you can see I sent this to 50 people I'm working with. 30 of them clicked the link, 20 of them did not. And you can build sub lists from those two different interactions and follow back up with each each side of that spectrum accordingly.
And this is where I really see, speaking specifically from like a workforce development, case management standpoint. So if Casey changes that message in that text box that says something like, "Hey, it's Casey from American Job Center. Don't forget, you can always text me back." And then something along those lines in that text goes there. And then again, as Casey mentioned, you're going to have a lot of different lists that you're working on, right? And they could be on people that you're working on eligibility for programs, people that are constantly kind of in the job search process or whatever program you're offering. And then maybe the end of the line, "Hey, did you get that employment?" Or, "Hey, congratulations on getting your certification," whatever it might be. But the really kind of magic here is behind the automation of it and the scheduling of text messages here. So the little step three with that drop down bar is the
How
yep.
many contacts you have in there?
Yep. And then you would pick how often you want it to go out. If you want it to go out a couple times there in this example, or if you want it to go out weekly or monthly. But point being is you can kind of set it and forget it, right? So that outreach is going to be taken care of for you automatically by the system. And then if someone responds to one of these mass communication texts, that's when it goes into that little queue that we were showing earlier, and you can start that conversation. And Casey's going to show you here where all of your kind of pre-scheduled text messages live. So if you need to go in and change who's receiving it, send it out right there like you just did. I just got it.
You all received that
Fantastic.
text, and
Yep.
as we mentioned before, that went out to 9 people. It would come back in as 9 individual one-on-one messages. There's no group messages. If you're like me, I can't handle a group text that has more than 2 people on it. So the last thing you want is a bunch of people you're unsure of all kind of going back and forth. So it's essentially a BCC, like sending out an email.
Absolutely. So everybody receives their little individual text. And then I think the next part is super important too, and this is really where Casey and his department come in is how do we launch these things, right? So we've got some phenomenal resources here. Casey will get pulled up. I got it if you want me to share, buddy, or you got it. There we go. So, how do we launch these kinds of things, right? And I always like to, one, kind of discuss what it looks like. And it really becomes kind of organically built into the process, right? We all scan that QR code or texted in the word tacos to 56512. Imagine at the front of your office, whether it's a job center or whatever it might be, and the little reception desk is there, and the first thing they see is a big old QR code or is a part of the check-in. "Hey, if you're here for your appointment, fantastic. Scan this QR code and check in for me real quick," and just text check in or whatever it is. Or if someone has to go through some sort of eligibility process, just incorporating that little text call to action into one little process, that list will organically grow pretty quickly. But as you can see on this page here, it's marketing 101, right? And it's just anywhere and everywhere that there is potential for someone to see that call to action to text in or scan that QR code. So all of your event flyers, your program flyers, your business cards. Casey, what are some of the super kind of creative ways you've seen some of the customers or our clients market that?
Digital screens that they have up,
Mhm.
tablets that they may have at the front desk.
Mhm.
I've seen it printed on a cookie. I've seen it printed on volunteer T-shirts.
Yep.
Obviously, your A-frame signs. There's a variety of things that I've seen, and it's really wherever you see, wherever your audience is.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that Engage by Sell, we're more than willing. If you go to the next slide, Casey, I think there's some additional examples here. This is something that Engage by Sell is more than willing and happy to help our customers with. We understand bandwidth and kind of graphic design is a skill that not everybody has, including myself. I cannot make a PowerPoint to save my life. So, this is something during the onboarding process, we're very hands-on, and Casey and his team go through what they call a game plan call. You want to talk about the game plan a little bit, Casey?
Yeah, the game plan's really just getting our ducks in a row, making sure that we're accomplishing what you guys want to get out of the software, what sort of pains you're working with now, and how our system can essentially alleviate those so that while we're working with you, it's constantly progressing, we're meeting and exceeding your goals.
Yeah, fantastic. And that's something that, again, I know I touched on it at the beginning, but we're super hands-on with all of our training and ongoing customer support. This isn't just a turn on and good luck relationship. Casey and his team, including myself, we get to know our customers. I know a lot of my customers, and I've known them for years now. We text back and forth about if they need assistance or general questions. Hey, what do you think about this idea? Or, hey, do you think, we kind of have this problem going on. Do you think that you have something that could help alleviate that? Or, we're always here to kind of help and grow with you as a customer and make it as successful as possible. And that's always the goal, right? But that kind of leads into anybody have any questions or uh, as always, please feel free to reach out to Casey or myself if you want to schedule a quick little 15-20 minute demo. We're happy to jump on other calls. And if we have, here we go, got some questions. Patty from Rochester. Yeah. So current customer, we'll reach out to you, Patty, and get you helped out there with getting a new number for your account. And I see a couple of people in the chat weren't receiving the text messages, and I can assure you it's because you probably missed the opt-in portion there where you had to scan the QR code, but that's okay. And that's kind of important to understand too with like the compliance pieces of it, right? It's super important to get people to opt themselves in. That's kind of the easiest way to approach it. Once they do, then you can text them all day long. Any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat, but we'll be respectful of your time and give some back to you if we can here. But if anybody has any questions or would like to schedule a call to learn more, please feel free to reach out to Casey or myself. Any last minute questions you got there, Casey? Or
But
comments, rather?
appreciate everybody's time today, and as Max mentioned, we're here to help. We have references from current businesses that can vouch for this service outside of us, who obviously are appreciative of our platform, but always a little bit biased. But we do think that this is effective, and we have others that will vouch specifically for that as well. But yeah, absolutely appreciate your guys' time, and hopefully we get to work with some of you guys more.
All right. Well, have a fantastic weekend. Enjoy your Friday tomorrow. And thank you for taking the time for joining us today, everybody. Thanks, Casey.
Thanks, Max. Thanks,
All
everybody.
right. Bye.